icons, keep your eyes on, don't miss this. Wait, what is this? A lot of pressure on me, but you don't know me. Man, I asked for this, and so I laugh at this. It's the fourth quarter, hard to come back from this. But I love this game, you gon' know the name. It's Ozone Sports Facts, let's layer the flame. So fly in the...
Hello, everybody. Live from Koreatown, it is the Ozone with a lot of action. Oh, and feeling triumphant because one of us went 4 for 4 on his picks, and one of us did not. If you remember last week, ladies and gentlemen, I told you what was going to happen at the U.S. Open, minus some drama. But I told you what was going to happen. I feel very good about it. I also told you what was going to happen in the fight. My brother, the Icons, is here, and he had his own predictions. He needed to be convinced that Showtime Shawn Porter was going to win the fight. And were you convinced?
He convinced me when we spoke with him.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I was convinced.
I was convinced before we spoke. Own it.
I did, and it was a tough, just like the fight. It was tough.
Tough fight.
Tough choice, tough fight. You know what? But Shawn had a game plan. He went out there and executed it. And, and that's what it's all about.
He went out there. He executed his plan just like he told us he would. He was slick. And then when he got his ring rust off, he went back to the old Shawn Porter, which was aggressive and overtly athletic. We got that. I think Do It for the Tipper wants to call in because he's disgraced. I think he went 4 for 6 on his picks. He feels a little bad, so anybody lost money messing around with Do It for the Tipper, hit him straight on his Instagram or his Twitter. And Major League Baseball is heating up, guys. We're almost to October. It literally is my favorite time of the year for multiple reasons. It's almost there.
And this is when I told you that Boston would put, that Houston Astros would put them back in their place.
Hold on, Hulk Hogan.
I'm coming for you.
Then we had the NFL kicked off, and I have to say I was much more excited about the NFL than I expected to be, and it was a great weekend of football. Man, it was a solid weekend of football. But let's start at what I feel is the top. This weekend, going in for the last pod, I told you guys what was going to happen. I told you guys that Osaka was going to beat Keys. She would meet up with Serena, and then she would beat Serena. I told you that Del Potro was going to beat Nadal, and then I told you that Djokovic was going to beat him. All of these things came to pass. You could have made a hell of a lot of money on a parlay card. But, we had a lot of drama out in Queens at the U.S. Open, and it all centered around the match with Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka. Now, me, myself, I've watched social media since the whole debacle happened. And it's interesting to me that once again the country is divided. It seems like the country is divided by men and women and white and black. There's a lot of false narratives that are being played out. And what we need to lay out for anybody who's the casual tennis fan, because I think this is where this rests the most.
That's a trap.
It's a trap with the casual tennis fan, because people are running around popping off talking about how Serena got robbed and this, that, and the other.
No.
And that I think they're speaking with forked tongue. She didn't
That's
get
so
robbed.
far from the truth. She was being dominated.
Yeah, she didn't get robbed by any means. She was just not the best tennis player on Saturday. And that, in my opinion, that has a lot to do with what came after that. Now, how to unpack this whole thing is really interesting. In case you don't know, her coach was coaching from the box, something that all the coaches do.
But it's illegal.
But it is illegal. And then what ended up happening was the chair umpire gave a violation for him coaching, whether or not she saw it.
Now, this is interesting because I believe that she saw it, because she said, he was just giving me a thumbs up.
I saw that. I heard her say that.
If you say that, that means that you saw whatever he was doing. You saw that, which he came out and said later on that he was sending signals.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is that whether she interpreted it as a thumbs up or as come to the net, which is what he was telling her, either way it goes, it was a violation. It was illegal. Then they had a friendly dialogue, more or less, about how it was a mistake and how she could see how you could think it was a mistake. But immediately she took it as an attack on her integrity, which I thought was very interesting, because that's not what the Carlos Ramos, the judge, that's not what he said.
I think that's what she was selling. I don't believe that.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Then just fast forward for everybody. We'll get through this quickly, this portion. So then she actually lost the first set 6-2. This happened in the second set when she was playing better. The score was, I think, 2-1 when this happened, at which point the violation happened. Serena's still up. She then breaks Naomi Osaka, the first time she had been broken in forever and ever, Well, then she gave that break right back. So the game was now 3-3, and she smashes her racket because she's upset, which was a clear violation. Okay, that's the violation. It is what it is. This then, because it was a second violation, resulted in a docking of a point. She lost it at that point. She was incredulous. She went over to the booth. Oh, are you kidding me? No, this is wrong. This is wrong.
She knows the rules.
She knows the rules. But to me, this is the interesting part. She went on to, I believe, win that game on her. She went on to get that point back and win that game. And in between the crossover, when the players changed sides, this is what she said to the ref, and this is when things went completely bonkers.
Something is wrong. It's wrong. You attacking my character. Yes, you are. You owe me an apology. You will never, ever, ever be on another court of mine as long as you live. You are the liar. When are you going to give me my apology? You owe me an apology. Say it. Say you're sorry.
They're going to bear the blame when it's the person in the player box who is actually accused of something.
Yeah, Serena was watching her coach give her a hand signal.
Verbal abuse.
And now,
Mrs. Williams.
Oh my goodness, this is very unfortunate.
Are you kidding me? Because I said you're a thief. Because you stole a point from me. But I'm not a cheater. Oh, why? But I told you to apologize to me. This is out. Excuse me, I need the referee. I don't understand.
Serena's asking for the referee. Osaka was ready to serve at 4-3. It was hard to hear over the crowd, but Carlos Ramos said game penalty. We said that the third code violation would lead to that.
correct.
And now Brian Early, in his 39th year of working with the U.S. Open, his last year as a referee, is involved in something incredibly ugly. Ramos explained it early. Donna Kelso is in conversation with Serena, who's near tears now.
Calling you a thief.
And that's not right. This is not fair. This has happened to me too many times. This is not fair. This is not fair. But to give me a point to lose a game for what we're saying, that is not fair. I mean, it's really not. Right. But you know how many other men do things that are, I don't think they do much worse than that. This is not fair. There's a lot of men out here that have said a lot of things, and because they're men, that doesn't happen to them. This is unbelievable. No, I don't know the reason, because if I say a simple thing, a thief because he stole a point from me, that does not make, because there are men out here that do a lot worse, but because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman, you're going to take this away from me? That is not right. You know it, and I know you can't admit it, but I know you know it's not right.
All right.
The perpetual loop.
This is what's really interesting. Let's just get this off the top. Serena Williams is the greatest female tennis player to ever lace them up. That's off the top. Her record is impeccable. But when she has problems, when she can't beat someone, there seems to be a problem. And
She's trying to get the get out of jail free card.
Here's my issue. There's a couple things. There's a lot to unpack with this, and my take on it from watching a lot of tennis my whole life, and also from being a professional actor. This is my take. Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams could play 50 times, and Naomi Osaka will beat Serena Williams 50 times. And this is just where they are right now.
Right.
Where Serena is right now in her career, where Osaka is in her career.
Evolution.
It is what it is. And she was looking for a way out. And she needled and needled and needled the ref, the chair ump. She needled him.
Trying to get him to give her the out.
Now listen, she's right about that. Men do say worse. And I don't even want to talk about and unpack the sexist version of it. For one, this guy has a history of giving men and women violations.
And for two, why don't we talk about they know who's going to ref or ump the games before they come out, the matches before they come out, right?
And when you look at this situation from a performance perspective, I'm an actor. I'm telling you guys something. Something that we use in acting are called tactics. She started one way. She tried to bully him into giving her an apology, which was amazing to me that the player is, I say it. Say it. Give me the apology. I already told you to apologize.
What about her telling him that he won't ever,
I mean, she threatened that
do his match.
Yeah. This all comes along with the superstar behavior. And I'm even though I'm not down with it, this is consistent with superstars across sports. This is why every now and then you get a superstar who isn't like that, and it's unreal.
Right.
You get a superstar that's mellow.
Like LeBron James?
Like a LeBron James, or even like a Shaquille O'Neal, who could have complained every single play.
Right.
And it's rare. You get a guy like a Derek Jeter, where you're like, wow, this guy's a superstar, but he actually seems like he would be cool.
Right.
And you don't usually get that. You usually get guys like a Kobe Bryant that are superstars, but also you say, damn, I guess you kind of have to be a jerk, and that's part of being a superstar.
Right.
Michael Jordan's, everybody says he's a jerk, so I guess that's part of being a superstar. In this situation, she changes her tactic from bullying the man after he takes the point, after he takes the point, but before he takes the game, to then in turn grabbing the referee out the back and crying to them, literally crying to them about how it's not fair and X, Y, and Z. All right, then there's another piece to unpack here, which I haven't heard anybody speak about. I personally believe Osaka threw the next game. And
sympathy game.
And she gave her a game.
A pity game.
She gave her a game, not even a pity game. She gave her a respect game. See, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's pity. I don't think it's sympathy. It's respect. Because it seems as though she's an extremely respectful young lady that comes from a culture of respect and deference. And I feel like she made sure that the game got squared up after that game. And then so
she can say, okay, now we're back at square one.
Because, like you said, and nobody else is talking about, she called the champ out.
Yeah, she literally called her out. She said that she wanted her.
After she beat Madison Keys in the semis, they asked her how she could keep her composure. She said, because I want to play Serena. Now, if this was another sport, this would be the equivalent of a boxer calling a boxer out and then knocking him out. This would be a hitter saying, I want to face Chris Sale, and then going deep off of him twice in the game. This is a key element, in my opinion, because I actually think this whole thing was performance and it was ego-based, and then she decided to make it about something different than what it was actually about.
Well, this is like
now the culture has followed her right down this rabbit hole, and there's a bunch more division.
But this is what I was telling you about. It reminds you a lot of when Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear.
Preach.
And then he was trying to find a way out of that fight.
Because he knew he wasn't going to win the fight.
Because he knew he wasn't going to win that second fight. And then the narrative also was that he cut my eye. I got to go home to my kids.
Yes.
Come on, man. You're a boxer. Sometimes you might spend a couple of days in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't just jump down. And with society going down this rabbit hole is sick, because she also brought up, her daughter.
Yes.
Which is not cool, because, okay, are you teaching your daughter how to throw temper tantrums? Or breaking your racket in the middle of the court?
Well, now they're saying you're sexist.
Yeah.
Because you're calling it a temper tantrum.
But that's what she was doing.
But it's a temper tantrum, and I'll say this. It's a temper tantrum whether or not Djokovic, Nadal, anybody else,
McEnroe, whoever.
Yeah. McEnroe was notorious for throwing tantrums.
But this is exactly what children do when they don't get their way. They throw things, they break things, they yell, they scream, they cry. It's not anything to do with sexism. It's about acting like a child. She shouldn't have took away Osaka's win. She didn't take it away. She tainted it.
That's the last thing that I wanted to say. She tainted that dub. Naomi Osaka, the first Japanese player to win a Grand Slam.
Japanese Haitian,
but the first. But I would imagine, I don't know if there's another Haitian champion, but the first Japanese Haitian person to win a Grand Slam title, male or female. And she took that moment from her, because then when they got, the only thing she didn't take was that big fat $3.8 million check.
Yeah,
and this is why I go back to performance, because when they got on stage afterwards to receive the championship trophy and the runner-up trophy, the boos were cascading down, And who got to come to the rescue?
Serena
Williams got to come to the rescue and say, okay, guys, that's enough with the booze.
We'll get through this. No, you get through this. You get over this. Go to your rooms. Go stand in the corner. She needed that.
Well, that's a bit much. That's that stuff that makes people feel like it's a sexist talk.
Why is that sexist? Because that's what you do to children. You send them to their room and you tell them to go stand in the corner or something. You give them a timeout. She needed a timeout because she had taken this girl's moment.
She took her moment. Right now, everybody's talking about Serena Williams all over the world. Nobody's talking about Naomi Osaka and
dominating her.
Dominating her and this extreme breakthrough. Last year, we watched Sloane Stephens break through and win the U.S. Open, and she became the belle of the ball. All over the world, all over magazine covers. She got her bread. This is her moment.
Right.
And it's terrible. I feel like it's terrible that she got cheated. Naomi Osaka got cheated out of this. Now, if Serena Williams felt like it was a sexist move, which I'm not even necessarily disputing that it was sexist. I don't think it was sexist, but that's not the point I want to cover. If she thought that, it would have been so powerful for her to write a letter or shoot a selfie video or whatever it is she wanted to from the locker room or right afterwards. It would have been more powerful to make that a point there. Nike might have even made a commercial out of it.
Right.
In comparison to throwing what she decided to make it the spectacle of what she decided to make that all about.
It was ugly.
It became really ugly.
And it's still ugly.
And it's still ugly. Because I still haven't seen Naomi Osaka on the morning shows, on this, on that. Even though I'm sure she's done them,
she
deserves not anywhere near.
But she deserves an apology from Serena.
She actually deserves an apology from Serena.
Serena needs to come out and say, you know what, I was out of line, and this was inappropriate. This wasn't the right time or place.
That's it.
And that's it. And keep it pushing. It's talking about we're going to get over this. Forget about getting over this. Why don't you give her props? Tell everybody that she beat me, and she was the better player that day.
And see, that's the thing. Everybody and their mom, including Serena, and you understand this from the ego of a champion, are all holding out with the idea that, well, she was about to come back. You could see she was playing better in the second set.
Yeah, whatever.
She wasn't going to beat that girl.
And not only that,
who's listening.
You know what? This is all a microcosm of society now because nobody can actually take responsibility for anything. I lost. So if I lost.
Yeah, they got me.
Yeah, they got me. I want to run it back. I didn't say I didn't want to run it back.
I want to run it back.
But I have to accept that she beat me, and she was beating me.
Soundly.
Yes, and it wasn't even in question. And anybody who else is out there talking about, oh, well, she would have come back, that's not.
No. And that's why I say it affects the casual fan in so many ways, because when they took the point, if you read the papers and whatnot, and if you listen to the way that Serena positioned it, it's as though they took a set from her.
Yeah, and as an athlete, you have to recognize when she kept going on and on and
she was
on.
looking for a way out.
Yeah, she was looking for
100% she quit. 100% she
quit.
recognized that she wasn't going to win.
Exactly. And you recognize that, and people, the casual viewer would just say, wow, she's really upset. Well, she's got a reason to be pissed. No, she actually doesn't. She's not focusing on the task at hand at that point. Now she's focusing on the ref or the ump, and instead of focusing on the actual game that she has to play.
Right.
Which is the goal right now, right?
And what was amazing was that Naomi Osaka was able to stay focused throughout all that.
And I just felt like it was disrespectful as well as when they, at the end of the match, where she walked by her and bumped her, instead of, after they hugged and whatever, she walked by and bumped Naomi Osaka.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, instead of just stepping back a little bit, letting her shake your man's hand and step back, but she was still focusing on that guy. And,
I did see that.
And because
she went to shake his hand,
yeah,
chair umpire's hand, and then
Uh-huh.
Now I'll say this: on the flip side, nobody pays to see referees and umpires in any sport. And I, for one, am super sensitive to bad officiating.
I am too.
Could he have handled it in a different way? Yes, he could have.
But tell me how.
Was he required to handle it in a different way? No, actually, and that's why the WTA came out and fined Serena Williams and actually released a statement standing by.
They should have, because the rules are the rules. You got caught. If I get caught doing something, I can't say, hey, they got me too. They got you too. Come on, man, let's go.
But that's the thing. So what the way that he could have handled it differently, he could have given her a warning instead of a violation. Now, and that's completely up to his discretion. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, and I've listened to and spoken to a lot of people who are saying that he injected himself into the situation by not taking a more delicate approach to protecting superstars. And in every sport, superstars are protected. You won't see LeBron James or Steph Curry get kicked out of a game in the finals. It's just not going to happen. They could spit on the ref. They could do just about everything.
We watched Jordan do it.
You see Michael Jordan just straight up cuss people out and cuss the ref out. John Elway used to go crazy on the officials. And the only sport that actually seems like they don't play like that is baseball, because baseball will kick you out. They don't care what game it is.
Not my problem.
You want to sit and argue balls and strikes. And
Trader Joe West got a place for you to go.
He got a place for you to go. And he will have a job next season.
Yes. Unfortunately.
But in that, I think he could have handled it better. But she most certainly could have handled it better.
I really don't think so, because what he's doing was sticking to his character. He's shown a pattern of calling it like this, and they knew when they went out there and played that match that he was that type of guy. So when
you play baseball or you play basketball, if you know the ref, you know how they call the games.
Yes.
And you know as an athlete how much you can get away with and how much you can't get away with.
And that's why you watch all the highlights and watch athletes in football, basketball, baseball, whatever, speaking to the refs, trying to soften them up, getting on their good side or whatever. You don't go and you're not going to get a better call by cussing up the ref or the ump or anybody out. You're bringing down hell on yourself.
And now tell me this though, do you think her prior behavior played into it?
I don't think so.
I just think that
this guy's
at the U.S. Open, she's had problems before where she actually ended a match, lost the game because she threatened to shove a ball down a line official's throat and said basically threatened her life.
No, I know, but no, I don't think so. I just think that this guy is the guy who goes by the book, and he does not accept that. And she should have known that when she went into that match. And then when she went into that match, and your man's over there throwing signs, which he's already admitted that he did,
right?
They should have known that when he busted him, that it was lights out. He's not playing games. And if so, take that. Wear it. If you have a bad at bat, you take the bad at bat, you say, oh, man, he messed up my bat. You go back to the dugout, he's like, yeah, man, he messed up your bat. But then the next at bat, you have a new lease on life.
Right.
She had a new lease on life. That was one point that turned into a game that it just turned into a big nationwide, worldwide debacle.
It's worldwide. Now, I will say this in Serena Williams' defense and defense of her sister, who I'm a very, very, very big fan of, is that I also believe that this explosion is a part and parcel with the abuse that her and her sister have endured for 20 years.
I agree.
Because just like we spoke about on the Ozone recently, she's tested for steroids more than the other players. She's constantly ridiculed about her physique.
Right.
Just recently, the French Open banned her attire. And I think that
enough is enough.
Enough is enough. And you're asking an awful lot for someone to always take the high road.
And exactly, especially when she's like the face.
She's the face of tennis.
Of tennis.
And her comeback is the face of tennis.
Right.
There's also another piece to unpack here, which is, everybody wants her to win her next Grand Slam so that she can be the sole record holder, because right now Margaret Court from Australia is the record holder, and Margaret Court is notorious for being anti-LGBTQ and of what a lot of people feel like is a dated mindset. So the powers that be want a better face, a more progressive face on their all-time champion. And there's a lot of goodwill there that's built up. I also believe, though, just like how Serena and Venus boycotted Indian Wells for maybe a decade or however long it was, because there was people calling them gorillas and monkeys and names in the crowd. Hey, man.
Putin as well. Putin is what he referred to them as the William brothers before.
Come on, man.
That's not cool.
And this gets old.
Yeah.
Outside of just it being not cool, it gets old. And this is something.
And it's blatant racism.
It's blatant racism. And for all you people on the sidelines that think that you can passively not take a stance against this kind of stuff, this kind of explosion is what you get from years and years and years of abuse.
Right.
Because eventually somebody's going to have enough, and Serena has had and worn enough.
And she imploded.
And that's it. And then she exploded on the ref, and she exploded on the whole thing. I don't know if she purposely disrespected Naomi Osaka. Only she knows that. But it was definitely a byproduct of her going after the chair ump.
Yeah, I don't think that she personally went out to personally disrespect her.
Yeah.
I just think that as a competitor and everything, she literally, I just still stick by it, that she acted like a child.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And
children don't have a good gauge on, at that point when they're in the middle of something, what's right or wrong.
And I agree.
They just want their point.
Which is why I told you to apologize already.
Yeah, I told you to apologize. Well, you'll never work here again.
Yeah.
And that's how can she dictate who's going to work where?
Because she's the GOAT, and that's how it goes.
Well, if that's the case, then that's not fair. That's not fair to the officials or anybody else. You can't.
She's asking for home cooking.
Yeah, she's asking for home cooking.
But my point is, in all of that, I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is that in all of that, a lot of that comes up from being mistreated for decades.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely has that potential to do that. Because, like you said, how much abuse can you take?
There's only so much you can take.
Why am I getting tested more than everybody?
Exactly.
Why
am I ridiculed?
Why am I ridiculed?
What is that?
What have I done to tennis for you guys to treat me like this?
Except for bring it up.
Exactly.
And now this is a situation, unfortunately, where the pot bubbled over, and it bubbled over in an ugly way, in my opinion, that then in turn was mistimed. There's a time to talk about the sexism.
Right.
There's a time to make sure that everything is judged fairly. And just like they made the big, just like the women made the big push for equal pay. Mm-hmm. The women get the $3.8 million check. Naomi Osaka got a $3.8 million check. Novak Djokovic got a $3.8 million check.
As they should.
But they should. Everybody should get paid equal for equal work. Only problem I ever have with it is why don't they play 5 sets if that's the case? But that's neither here nor there. Because men have to play 5 sets. But I hear what you're saying. Everyone should get paid equal for equal work. And in this situation, everyone should also be judged equally. So if you allow, not that he does it, but if you allow Juan Martín Del Potro to cuss you out, he's not that guy. I'm just using him as an example. To cuss out the official, guess what? That needs to be standard then. Then we just getting officials cussed out.
All the time.
How it works. So you need to know that going in. But there was a something that she interpreted as an attack on her character.
Which I did not see.
I didn't see it as an attack on her character, nor any form of sexism, of direct sexism. And I also think that as an athlete, she was not going to win, and she knew that, and she found her way out. And this is the Omar Miller unpopular view of the day.
Right. Well, they're saying that tennis umpires are considering forming a union following Serena's storm.
Really?
And anger amongst officials over lack of support for Carlos Ramos. Ramos is set to officiate Croatia versus U.S. Davis Cup semifinal. Now, are you saying that he shouldn't officiate anymore because you guys don't like the way that he officiates? This is the great thing about officiating, whether you like it or not. You'll go against an official that calls it a certain way.
Tight way.
Yeah, and you're like, man.
Those are the rules.
Yeah, and baseball, they set pitchers up to face certain umpires because they know how the guy's zone is. I mean, come on, man.
It's a bad situation. It's a great op-ed written by the great Martina Navratilova that sums up a lot of this stuff from a championship perspective because she knows as well as anybody. And honestly, if I had to take one person on a one-on-one against Serena, best day versus best day, it would probably be Martina, if not Venus. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was ugly. I don't think it's a good look for tennis, and I hate the fact that it's devolved into this as far as another thing to divide the United States and the culture and men and women and black and white, and everybody is all too quick to jump down that rabbit hole. Trust me, folks, I understand there are plenty of issues that are sexist, racist, and biased. I don't think we need to add more on a maybe.
Right.
Well, that's the tennis sum up. I mean, I had a lot to get off my chest on that one.
My only thing, one more thing about this tennis thing, Randy Piper. You know what? Because if she didn't play another match, this is what a lot of people will remember her by.
And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So, so that's where we are in the game. Moving on. How about that fight this weekend?
What fight?
Exactly. The one that's going to result in a green WBC belt coming in for us to get to hug and squeeze. Showtime.
A lot of good loving.
A lot of good loving. Showtime Shawn Porter was on the O-Zone last week to speak about his fight at the Barclays Center with Danny Garcia. And he told us that he was planning on outboxing him, being elusive, and then fighting Earl Spence. And
he's speaking it into existence.
He manifests his words. Him and his father put in the work. I don't think he was the most elusive character because Danny hit him a lot. But after that relentless pressure and punishment to his body, Danny's punches didn't have the smoke on it that that they could have had, and I actually believe the judges got this one right. I had it 7-5 for Shawn. And that's what most of them had. One judge had it 8-4 for Shawn. So one judge really feeling Shawn's work.
I felt his work 8-4.
Yeah, that's not far fetched
because they gave the first round to Danny,
and I did not.
And I did not. I mean, because Danny, I mean, you could either give it a even round, or I would have to go to Shawn. Shawn was way busier. He was
way busier.
I mean, he was landing the most punches.
He was the ring general.
Yeah, he was the ring general. He controlled it. And congrats. I'm glad to see that young man go out and get that thing.
Too. And you know what? He has his belt. This is going to result in him getting a lot of dough. I'm
He's a positive young man in the sport.
Yeah, this was all good.
It was a win-win.
This is the
winner.
Chicken dinner. And let's hear what Earl Spence had to say after the fight.
Hello, sir. I know you all here tonight. Hey, the same way that you call out Danny Garcia, I'm calling you out. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it on. You got WC's belt, I got the IBM belt. We can unify. We good friends. I love you, Daddy. But let's get it on.
Hey, guess what, y'all? This is going to be the easiest fight to make in boxing right here.
What is your assessment of what you saw here of Shawn Porter?
I mean, Shawn Porter did what he always do. Shawn Porter, he came forward. You know, he was aggressive, and he came to fight like he always do. And his dad got him ready with Barry Hunter. But like I said, I feel like I'm the best welterweight in the division, and I want this fight. I'm the IBF champion of the world. I'm Earl Spence Jr. I'm the truth, and I guarantee you, I'm gonna come home with the WC belt and be the unified champion.
And would you like this fight next?
I definitely like that fight next. I love that fight for next year.
All right.
Hey. Do I look worried?
That's going to be a clash of the Titans, folks. I actually think Earl Spence had been drinking because I don't know if you watched afterwards, but Earl looked a little loose-lipped in general. He was having a good time. His whole squad was out. Him, Gervonta Davis, Broner, Robert Easter, all of them was out there chilling, supporting, which was cool. It was great to see that. It's also great to see all these young brothers that are friends in the league,
right.
You know. But there was also a lot of online grumblings afterwards because afterwards in the press conference, Earl Spence spoke about Terrence Crawford. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Oh,
heard about it, didn't see it.
Hold on. Let me find it.
That welterweight division is
stacked. I mean, stacked. Hold on.
Now we have four belt holders, right?
I'm definitely not living paycheck to paycheck. I guarantee you, if we check our tax reports at the end of the year, I guarantee I'll make more than him. He got 3 coaches. We don't know who the head coach is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm way better fighter than Terrence Crawford. Who has he fought? The only name fight you fight is York's game boy, the guy that he fought. I fought with Robert Peterson, Chris Algieri, Kell Brooks. I mean, and how many fights he got? 30-some fights?
He never fought anybody better than
he's a great fighter, things like that, but you can't put him to me. Like the guy he just fought for the undisputed welterweight, light welterweight champion of the world. Richard Bergeri stopped him later than he did. You know what I'm saying? So you got to add it all into conclusion to who you say the top was.
Oh, he know that.
You sound like you're at church. Going out, say that. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he did. This is, he was feeling it. But honestly, I actually do think Earl's better than Terrence. But the problem is, once again, we're going back to the stables.
Right. And I mean, honestly, Earl Spence, the names that he put out there, the only one that really is the big difference for me is Kell Brook.
Me too.
The rest of them are just like throw-ins, Chris Algieri. And they've already been beat up by a bunch of people.
They all got beat up by
pretty much. Who changes your career.
Who gives you the Gennady Golovkin.
Right.
Actually, gives you the Manny Pacquiao.
Gives you the Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but Kell Brook, I mean, and then even with Kell Brook, Gennady gave it to Kell Brook. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Earl Spence. I just feel like, neither one of them have a resume that stands out like that.
Right. At 140, Terrence Crawford was the man.
Right.
Since he's moved up to 147, he does work, but I'm not overly impressed with
He hasn't shown the knockout drop that you want to see.
That I want to see. And the body snatcher has.
Yeah, he kills the body. But you know what though? There's always something to counter that. I mean,
there is.
That jab is real.
And Terrence is real.
Blood
is real.
Yeah, he's got heart.
But now we have a champ in Shawn Porter who gets to dictate some of his own next moves.
Right. And I really don't feel like those guys that we're talking about are going to be running to fight him like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think Earl wants to fight him.
Earl would want to.
Earl wants to fight everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a
danger to him
versus Al Heyman Premier Boxing that will stop a lot of these fights from happening. And I think that's why we're looking at Earl versus Shawn potentially.
Right.
And this is unfortunate because the way that this is, we got a stacked division and we're probably not going to see all of it. I think Shawn had a little ring rust from not fighting for the 10 months. And then he knocked that ring rust off maybe like by the third round. I thought he had a good first round, but by the fourth round, I think he really was back to himself. And some of the stuff he was doing in there athletically is incredible.
Right.
I mean, he never gets tired.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, he has so much energy.
His motor is running.
And he's not afraid to get hit, and he shows you a chin of a champion. Man, I mean, he takes it right on the chin.
Yeah. And so, I think that's going to be really interesting. Another interesting thing taking place in that welterweight division is Manny Pacquiao just on his Instagram came out with a statement that was extremely interesting. Yesterday, Manny Pacquiao tweeted or posted on Instagram to his 4.3 million followers, "Congratulations and good luck to Top Rank Boxing and ESPN on your 7-year partnership agreement. I know both of you have been very busy finalizing the deal. However, I have not received the U.S. rights payment for my July 15 fight against Lucas Matisse that was broadcast on ESPN+. Therefore, I'm initiating legal proceedings against Top Rank and all other parties based on the non-payment and attempt to restrict my future rights. Thank you." Manny's such a nice guy, and I wonder if that services is like getting served when you serve people. If with that amount of a following, it would be impossible for a judge to say he didn't.
I didn't see it.
Exactly.
You saw it.
Yeah, and this is crazy. So Bob Arum, who has long been rumored to have played games with Manny Pacquiao's money to keep him fighting, seems as though Manny has woken up and said exactly that. I do believe it was Floyd Mayweather who said years ago that Manny Pacquiao should have left Bob Arum.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
Among other people, but I think Floyd said that. I think Floyd said he should have left, which is why Floyd left Bob Arum early, I do believe. And I think
it's just a dirty business.
Old school boxing. I mean, Bob Arum's like 85 now or something like that. And I tend to believe the boxer in these scenarios, because he's the guy that either has his money or doesn't.
Right.
Why would Manny Pacquiao sit around and lie about receiving his residual payments?
And put it out on social media like that.
Why would he do that? That doesn't make him look good. And also, why isn't Manny Pacquiao the next in line to fight all of these belt holders besides himself?
Are you kidding?
This is what I'm saying.
They don't want that. And I honestly feel like Manny probably can beat almost all of them, if not all of them.
His hardest fight would be against Earl Spence, and this is only determined by whether or not Earl Spence can take his power.
Yeah,
because Manny, like Shawn Porter, is not going to run out of energy. He's not going to stop fighting. And, you need to really catch him to knock him cold like Marquez did.
And honestly,
and he's willing to get knocked out cold.
Yes, and he can knock you out still at his age.
He's still got enough. And, in that, you have, before you remember they were talking about him fighting Lomachenko, and all of a sudden that's gone by the wayside because Manny can fight at 140 or catch weight at 144. 147 is actually pushing him because that's when he's up. That's like way up for him. So you're talking about Crawford. You're talking about Spence. You're talking about Shawn Porter now, and Manny Pacquiao all have belts.
I would think that Shawn Porter probably would give him a harder fight than anybody.
Yeah,
yeah,
because he's actually more athletic than him.
He's actually more athletic, and he's going to keep going just like Manny is.
Yeah, and then you have to kill both of them in there.
Yeah, and the only problem with Manny, with these young guys fighting Manny, is that Manny throws punches from every kind of angle that you can even imagine and some that you can't. And it's a problem because that's how he knocks people out. It's not the punch that you see coming. And these young guys, I'm not going to say that they're smart by not fighting him, but they're doing the right thing by not fighting him because he can take your belt.
And I don't think it's them.
Oh, no.
I don't. The fighters want to fight. And they want to fight him.
Because this is what they do.
And you can't tell me that there's somebody that's a bigger draw than Manny Pacquiao at 47. Manny Pacquiao, you announce Pacquiao versus Spence or Pacquiao versus Crawford, put that pay-per-view up, people are going to buy it.
Well, if you're going to see a fight like that, you probably won't see it until another 2 or 3 years where they know or think that he's completely finished.
Yep. Not that he's in a wheelchair, but when he's
I know what you're talking about.
I like to put that out there like that.
But they want him to be mush.
Yeah,
just like when they waited for Evander Holyfield to slow down a little bit, and then everybody wanted to jump on the bandwagon and fight him, and then they found out that he wasn't finished.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, I'm still good,
man.
And then when they talk about this Golovkin, now I didn't know this was Golovkin's last fight on HBO.
Oh, really?
Golovkin's contract with HBO ends with Canelo fight.
Uh-oh.
We need a knockout.
Let me tell you. I'm telling you right now, the fight's coming up this weekend. If Gennady Golovkin doesn't knock Canelo out, I'd be amazed if he gets a decision.
Yes.
I don't care if he bagels him. I don't care if he wins 12 rounds and none with 3 knockdowns. If he doesn't knock him out, I just can't see it happening. Now, Gennady's been on record saying he wants to punish him, and we've seen that before. And Canelo, actually, I'll say, looks really good.
Looks really, really good.
Really good. Looks really lean.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I could think is that he's going to try a
speed package,
a speed approach. He's going to actually do his best Floyd Mayweather impersonation. And he's going to see if that can work and go boxing, because he's been trying to soften up his critics that say, well, you know what? We need to it wasn't running. It was actually strategic boxing. You guys need to watch more fights and you'll understand.
I've heard a lot of boxers say the same thing. Well, that was good boxing strategy, and that's just this new era of boxing, because if you go back to Marvin Hagler footage and Sugar Ray Leonard footage and even Wilfredo Benitez, nobody's not going backwards. We're trying to engage. We're not trying to run. I came to fight. I'm not going to rip the fans off and give you a defensive clinic. If I want a defensive clinic, do it for me on YouTube. I can come and watch it. So I get 200 likes, 200 million likes and 30,000 views or whatever you want to call it. But I come there to watch cats put them up.
Yeah, and Gennady wants to put him up. I think that, after seeing Canelo and how lean he is and how much his body seems to be physically smaller, even though the weight is the same, his body seems to be differently shaped now. I think this is his plan is to counterpunch and to dance. I really believe that's his plan.
What kind of dance are you looking for?
I'm looking for a paso doble.
and not a merengue.
And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he can hurt Gennady in that sense, so I don't know how that's going to work out for him.
Well, the problem is that he doesn't have the reach either, so he has to give a little bit to get on the inside, and that's where he needs to do his most damage. And, you got to come in there to the power zone. Yep. I think that he should have took a page out of actually when George Foreman and Evander Holyfield fought, where Evander Holyfield stepped into George Foreman's power so that he couldn't extend his arms and actually ever extend his arms completely to try to stop some of that, absorb some of that.
The only thing that I've seen Canelo work on and on all the YouTube
is the stomach,
his body shots. I've seen him work the body shots and the heavy bag for body shots. I think that his plan is to go to the body when he can to mitigate some of Gennady's power. And my only issue is this. I've never seen Canelo Alvarez better than he was last September. And it wasn't enough.
Right.
So I don't know what he could do after a knee surgery, and there was off the juice with no tune-up fight. I'm very interested to see this fight, and I'm going with Golovkin.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask you. Who are you going with?
I'm going with Golovkin. Yeah. Who are you going with?
Oh, come on, man. You play too much. You know that. Triple J!
We'll see, because we'll see the champ after the fight. We'll see what he says.
He's still ready to go?
Yeah, he's still going to be ready to go. Bumps, bruises, and all. All right. Moving on to the college football picks this week. Next victim's ready to go.
Yo.
Next victim, a.k.a. 4 for 6 or 4 for 7.
Ooh.
How you feeling?
Dang, he calling out stats on your boy.
Yeah, you that upside down pound cake.
I'm feeling good. O-ZONE, what's cracking with y'all?
Oh man, we just covered a range of topics. We covered the champ called in last week and made his prediction and came through with it. Me calling all of the action this weekend. Terry calling the action this weekend with Houston versus Boston, and everybody came through. Except for about 3 picks on the college football side. We have nothing to do with it. So we're looking to you for a concise set of picks that will then in turn be able to make us stand proud as the O-Zone. What you got for this week?
Do it. All right. So, I went 4 for 6 or whatever old Measy said. But, just a quick little, flashback. Clemson escaped. We all know that. Yeah. So they remain at number 2.
Dabo.
Georgia Bulldog won. South Carolina, so they still ranked up high. One of my losses was SC. They they lost to them Stanford East Palo Alto boys.
Told you about EPA.
You did call that. I know about EPA. I just tried to give love to the home team. I know about it. So another one of my losses, Michigan State. They came into hot Arizona and lost to Arizona State and Herm Edwards.
Went to Hermville.
With the Hermville, and it was 100 degrees, plus that's 7:30 in Hermville, so I'll take that L. Can't do it. But some of the big games this weekend, number 12, LSU versus number 7, Auburn. I'm going with LSU.
Oh.
That's Les Miles' old squad. I believe in them Tigers, purple and gold. Number 17, Boise State. playing against number 24 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is a run and gun type offense, same as Boise State, but I like Boise State in this one just because they're more consistent. They've been consistent playing that type of game for a long time. Staying with the higher rank. Then we got number 4, Ohio State. I don't even like talking about Ohio State. One, because they're in the same conference as Michigan State, and then also because of the coaching situation. Yeah, so they playing. Oh, go like Prince is back. Wow.
Talk about you and me.
Ooh, acapella. So, Ohio State is playing number 15 TCU. I like TCU, but unfortunately, Ohio State is a serious problem with the scandal that's going on. Ohio State is a scary team to play against, and most likely will be either Rose Bowl bound by the end of the season. Next, we got number 22 USC playing against Texas in Texas. This is the big game that's been
trilogy, right?
The rematch. This is the Rose Bowl rematch. This is the Battle of the Titans. This will be the third game played between the two. I like Texas for the reason T. Martin, former player with Tennessee Vols, he's the offensive coordinator now with USC. And if you looked at USC, they don't play the same once T. Martin became the offensive coordinator a couple of years ago. Now I know Ozone.
Do you think that's because T has a problem like a lot of all-star, all-world players do when it comes to coaching and expecting people to be able to do what they can do?
Yes. And one of my theories is one of the cats that are lesser talented got more time on the bench are better coaches.
Wow.
I think that I wouldn't doubt. I don't know if that's the case with SC. I don't keep up with college as much as I could, but in general, that seems to be a very safe statement.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see the superstar athlete turn into the great coach.
Right. It doesn't happen. I will say one of them was, Larry Bird. He was awesome on the court, and, he took the Pacers.
He took the Pacers there immediately. Yeah. Magic was a terrible coach.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Pete Rose was a suspect coach. He was a player now. Right? He had to call.
I would love to play for Pete Rose, though.
And a lot of them are terrible GMs as well.
Charlie also. A lot of terrible GMs.
Yeah,
Isaiah Thomas was a bad coach.
Jordan was a terrible GM.
Right.
You can't believe Kwame Brown can't do what you can do.
Kwame Brown.
Kwame Brown sucks in the Ice Cube Big 3 League.
Let alone the NBA. Come on, man.
And I got one more game, and it's we got our alumni, San Jose State, playing against the Oregon Ducks. Y'all know me. I got to roll with the home team. But
is this home?
In this one, the score is going to be Oregon Ducks 100, San Jose State 3. So I'm going with the Ducks.
Going with them Ducks.
Going with that Grey Goose.
All right, wait. So on the way out, we got two pieces I want you to cover. One, what'd you think about the result of the Garcia Porter fight this weekend?
I called it. I believe I mentioned that it was going to be 115 or 113 or 115, 112 on the scorecard if it wasn't a knockout in the 9th or the 10th round. I think that I love the results of it. I love the way that Shawn Porter fought. I wish he would have fought like that the entire 12 rounds and not 10. I believe in the first 2 rounds he tried to outbox. Garcia.
We just spoke about. I think a lot of that was ring rust because he hadn't fought in a while. So, and then he knocked off that ring rust and got back to his relentless pursuit of pressure and athleticism.
Right, and Garcia didn't really do anything in the first round either.
He didn't. He hit him with a couple hooks, but he actually hit him hard, and Shawn wasn't impressed. You could see it. He hit him solid, and Shawn was like, okay, cool.
But he threw the combo piece, and once he threw the combo piece the first time in the first two rounds, that's when Shawn Porter got, relentless and started putting the pressure after he took the combo piece. But I like what Shawn Porter did. I like the way he approached the fight. He did what he always do. It bother Danny Garcia because Danny Garcia could not get the distance to throw the proper combos and the two-piece or the jab. You know, he landed some here and there, but Porter was in that phone booth with him the whole time, and
he didn't want none of that.
It was too uncomfortable for Garcia.
Well, and it was just too much athleticism. You can see it. His athleticism is incredible. Okay,
Yeah.
that, and then the final piece, fooling around with the Angels if you haven't left them yet. What's the move with Ohtani? Now, Ohtani, they said he needed Tommy John. He was like, oh, really? How about I need 2 more bombs? Do you go with the surgery, or do you just let him swing the stick in 2019, or do you have him sit out in 2019? If they call you to be the GM,
I'll let him swing the stick. No surgery. We don't need you to pitch. We do need. Well, let me say this: we do need you to pitch, but Trout got 2 more years left on his contract, so let him just swing the stick only. Don't worry about.
Almost up already.
Yeah, they're talking about extending him already right now.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was fast. I remember when he signed his deal.
Young.
Yeah, he was young.
Yep. So I'll just let him swing the stick, and just to try to keep it attractive for those that are around him on the squad to try to stay, because we've seen what he can do, and I'm sure the Angels see what he can do on a daily basis, you know, in batting practice or whatever. So let him just swing the stick, and now don't focus on the surgery if you're Ohtani or the organization. Focus on getting some better pitching, some long-lasting pitching in the organization.
Some young pitchers. Now,
well, Ohtani though can actually swing the stick and have the surgery, so he's going to sit out. He's not going to be able to pitch all of next year anyway, unless they figure out a different form of medical, system to fix his arm.
Yeah.
But he's going to sit.
But the surgery is still questionable. You know, I guess it's pretty much up to him or to get a second look at it.
Well, I think he had a second opinion, though. But the thing of it is that he could still swing the stick and have the surgery. But I would think that he would be sour on the Angels if they don't let him pitch, because that's the reason why he signed with them.
Yeah, that was the big reason he rolled with them.
And if you tell him now that, he's only 23 years old, and he can definitely be one of the best pitchers in baseball if they leave him alone.
And somehow or another, you turned it to. And
that was your Tony.
Right. Then,
it was called for.
Then they need to make a decision quick then, and just have him, stop playing now. They're not going anywhere, and he's still swinging the stick.
Anywhere. Well,
but
that's the problem. If they would have let him play like this early season, they might actually be going somewhere.
Exactly.
All right, final thing. We got to get off the line. Final thing. Who you got this weekend? Triple G Canelo rematch.
I like that letter G. I like 3 G.
I guess he G'd up.
I'm G'd up.
Do it for the tipper. Thank you for joining the O-Zone, and I will be on Twitter shortly to troll you if your picks are wrong.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
All right, go.
Late.
Good times on the O-Zone. Moving quick. Man, the time just seems to fly on the O-Zone nowadays. We got a roundtable discussion. For the NFL that kicked off.
Nice league.
And something we never spoke about was the Kaepernick ad,
right?
And Nike, having the secret weapon of keeping him on the bench basically the whole time and breading him up. And maybe this is why he wasn't so hesitant to not exercise his option with the 49ers.
Maybe. I just felt like it was a bad move for him not keeping it.
$64 million.
You can't let that go. I don't think Nike's paying him that much. How much are they paying him?
I don't know. I'm not in his pockets, but I'm just
get out. Get out my pocket, Colin.
Yeah, but it's very interesting to see Nike feel like what they're on the right side of history. I agree with them that they are, and this isn't the first time that they've rolled the dice.
Right, and I don't think that they had a lot to lose. Were they going to lose a couple of people burning up their stuff that they already paid for? I mean, come on, man. You paid for it. You're burning it up.
Yeah, well, they're talking about the future
revenue.
They're talking about future revenue, but I personally believe that most of the time the people who are buying Nikes and X, Y, and Z are the culture.
Right.
And the culture determines what's cool and what's not. And the culture has made a very, very clear stand that we as a unit are behind Colin Kaepernick and his cause. And I think that Nike is doing the right thing from a business perspective and from a societal, moral perspective.
It's just unfortunate that false narrative is out there, and you got a bunch of people who aren't informed that are falling for it.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get to the lines and figure out what happened this week in the NFL. Trucker Dave and Cowboy Kev the Icons and Big O, all on the line to talk about the NFL Week 1. What is happening?
Well, there's a lot of things happening in NFL. Welcome back, NFL.
It's a lot to unpack. And it was not a very warm welcome. Let's start off with Cowboy Kev. What happened down? What happened? Goo.
Well, see what had happened was. No, you know what? It really it's still preseason. We're in preseason form. With all the new changes that we've had, receiver core, line with Frederick Center going out. We still got some messing to do, and it was very apparent very early that the offense they struggled, and it's going to take them some time to really put it together. But I was happy to see our defense looked promising. They showed some signs, and so there is some hope. But we definitely need some improvement on the offensive side.
I think that you guys are in a little trouble when you see the offensive line struggle a little bit in Dallas.
Yeah, that's not Dallas' style
good
at all.
No, exactly, and that's my especially once Frederick was out, you knew we really were in trouble. Tyron Smith, he's always going to be in and out, and so we don't solidify the O line. Back in Zeke, they'll be in for a long season.
And if you can't beat Carolina without Greg Olsen, you got problems.
You got problems.
And
receivers.
Yeah.
We were fortunate. The score turned out the way it did. Really, to be honest, that's why I say the defense. I thought they contained Cam for the most part. Obviously, he had some couple breakout plays, but. We got some promise on the defensive end. We could just, I don't know. It's going to take some time for the offense to really put it together. Obviously, they got to be more creative with no playmakers on the receiving core. So I don't know.
You don't sound too optimistic, Cowboy Kev. I'm just gonna put it out there. Trucker Dave, let's move into the New England quarter of the country. How did you feel about what you saw out of your squad this week?
Well, the Patriots look pretty good on defense. I mean, they're shuffling at the receiver position, but on defense they look pretty good. I was impressed how they played defense.
I was surprised.
Yeah, and I was not surprised that Tom Brady went to his favorite target and got to Gronk immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say this.
Like riding the bike.
He got drunk off the Gronk.
I will say this. It's good that they let Rod Patricia go down there in Detroit. And, they were able to revamp the defense. He picked up right where he left off. You saw how they got blown.
They got blown.
He picked up right where he left off. I know a bunch of people who are in those bump-out survivor leagues where you have to pick one team. You only get to pick them once per year. And I actually knew a dude who told me, he was like, yeah, a lot of guys lost yesterday because they went with New Orleans. I went with Detroit. Detroit should be safe at home against the Jets.
Right. Okay.
And that kid, Sam Darnold, is touchdown Sammy Jack. That kid is a winner.
He lit them up.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah, he lit them up, man. As a rookie, too. They opened up the playbook for him.
Yep.
And he showed he was ready.
Yep.
Yeah, he's ready. You know what I think is going to happen? I got a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised to see Pittsburgh trade Le'Veon Bell to the Jets because they have the cap space down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be great move for the Jets.
You heard it here first from Chucker Dave.
But Chucker Dave on the Ozone with a bold prediction. Yeah, because they could see that they needed help. And Le'Veon could see they needed help, which is why he trolled the team on Twitter when he put up that looky-loo face to Sherlock Holmes where he was trying to see what was going on.
Oh, Dez did the same thing. You see, Dez did
the same thing to Cowboy Kev.
Yeah. Yeah, we may need to re-pick him up.
Well, you know what? They're going to have a problem because they're stacking the line against Ezekiel Elliott. You don't have any receivers out there. It's a problem. The same problem that Todd Gurley had.
Exactly. There's no respect for the receivers. And so Zeke's going to have a long season. It's going to be a tough one.
Speaking of people having a long season and speaking of Todd Gurley, it looks like the Raiders are going to be in for a long season, even though they're playing a lot of people's in Super Bowl favorite Los Angeles Rams last night. It was notable from the very beginning that had they had Khalil Mack, they actually would have had a chance to win that game.
Yeah.
Well, you know that the game has passed, to me, John Gruden by because Sean McVay, he outcoached him, and Gruden has been looking at all of this tape. And in the second half, look at what the Rams did.
McVay made the adjustments at halftime and ran amok on the Raiders.
Sure did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And look at his personnel. He's got all basically older players. Marshawn Lynch.
He's got the oldest team in the league.
40 yards. Come on, man.
Right.
He got Jordy Nelson. He couldn't even get any separation. And I knew if they kept on throwing on Marcus Peters' side, it's going to be a good night.
No, it wasn't going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
No,
absolutely. Well, tell me this. The Rams, obviously, we know they're going to be good. But what do you guys think about Minnesota?
Oh, Minnesota's defense looks good.
I think Minnesota might go to the Super Bowl because Kirk Cousins is a winner. Their defense looks legit. And you're in a situation. I see the icons disapproving over here. You didn't. What didn't you like? Go ahead. I can't even finish my thought.
You talking about they going to the Super Bowl? They gonna go beat the Rams?
I wasn't overly impressed with Ram time, to be honest.
Well, basically,
they need to gel, so that'll be,
Yeah, but
they beat the Raiders. Actually, and you would be fooling yourself if you weren't surprised at the show that the Raiders put on in the first half.
No, but that's coaching 101. What he did with that offense, since they have the highest offense in football last year, was he just played keep away. And then after the Rams got the ball back the second half, you changed the game around because then you made them have to play. You made the Raiders have to make plays, and Derek Carr and them couldn't do it.
I agree, and I think the Rams are fantastic. But if you have to end up playing Minnesota up in Minnesota and that defense is tight like they are, and I think Kirk Cousins is actually an upgrade, and what I've seen from him out of Washington for the past few years, that guy makes plays. It's not always pretty, but that dude makes plays, and if you put him in a position to make plays, he's going to do just that. And with that defense, you may not have to make a lot of plays. You got a defense up there that might give up 14, 20 points.
Are you kidding? The Rams defense is crazy.
The Rams defense is crazy on paper, and I agree with you. It is crazy, but until, just like every sport that gets a bunch of superstars together, you have to see it in motion. Now, that Todd Gurley in motion was legit. Forget about it.
You're missing some things. None of their starters really played that much in the preseason, so they had to,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And you don't just have good players; you have a good defensive coordinator who beat Tom Brady in them. Remember that. Wade Phillips beat them, so he can work with the talent that he has.
Yeah.
And he has the rookies out there that look nice last night, too.
Yeah. And I actually think that what he did is going to end up what Sean McVay did is going to end up taking hold because ultimately these preseason games are just a injury waiting to happen.
Yeah, and it's basically a trial.
I don't blame him, though. You can't pay no dude $100 million and then when he play in the preseason and get hurt, then you're going to lose your job.
That's it. Now, speaking of losing your job, who believes Aaron Rodgers may be actually literally on his last leg with this situation that happened on Sunday? They brought him back in. The legend of Aaron Rodgers continues. Once again, everybody's a prisoner of the moment. I've been hearing Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all time for about 2 or 3 years now, which is just mind-blowing for me. I'm devastated by people saying it. I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a stud.
Yes.
But to throw him in this greatest of all time category is a little premature in my opinion. And honestly, on Sunday night, he threw what should have been a pick six in the game.
It should have been.
And in classic football fashion, the defender can't catch. So then you knew what was about to happen. He is good enough so that it only takes a very small mistake for him to be able to take full advantage.
Can't keep giving him opportunities.
Yeah, but what they're talking about is his skill set. They never seen somebody who can, wherever he looks, he can put the ball, and he's mobile enough to get it done, man. So that's what people are basing that.
Yeah, but Dan Marino was the same way.
And that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Marino wasn't mobile like him.
He was early in his career. He was when he went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, the only person that I can remember can do what he does is probably John Elway.
John Elway was the same as well.
And John Elway didn't win
until he got Terrell Davis. Couldn't win until he got Terrell Davis.
Yeah, but he was inaccurate, though. But Aaron Rodgers can put the ball where unbelievable.
I agree with you. It is great to watch. It's great television. He puts the ball where it's supposed to go. But let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers, a lot of the times, actually gets a lot of help. Yeah, I've seen a lot of plays where he throws the Hail Mary and like down there in Arizona the other year where they decide to not bat the ball down for some reason.
But like I said, why does he need the Hail Mary all the time? That means he's behind. Come on, man.
And he doesn't play defense, so it's not on him. But at the same time, This year, I'm very interested to see if he can come back from what happened, because his knee looked like it was pretty smashed up.
Yeah, it looked like he was done for the year.
And that mobility
early on
that Trucker Dave is talking about is a key component of his game.
Absolutely.
Because he could turn into Dan Marino.
Playing him Sunday, they play Minnesota Sunday at home. So
which is a bad look for them.
Yeah.
Because Khalil Mack ran amok after 3 practices. Khalil Mack went out there and looked like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, he was on the snap
count.
Oh,
yeah, he was unbelievable in the first half.
Always been looking like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you had to pay him.
That's true.
And that's why the game has passed Gruden by. You can't let anybody like him go.
He needed his $100 million. Don't worry about the next man's $100. You got to get your own player. We'll be all right.
Not only did he let him go, he let Martavis Bryant go.
He sure did.
So what the inside scoop is supposed to be, a matter of fact, I found this out last night, is that Martavis Bryant, I guess, is secretly battling. He failed a drug test.
Oh, did he?
And it's I guess
that failed a drug test is good.
What's that?
Most of those players that got drug problems is the players you want on your team.
No, I agree, but from apparently there's a suspension brewing, and that's why they decided to drop him. And I don't even think that's out. That's word on the curb that I just picked up last night. Strangely enough, so I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the rumorville is that I think it was your standard weed conviction, which is ridiculous because the NFL needs to get with it and let these guys smoke weed as opposed to taking all of these opioids and narcotics that they need to take to continue playing the game.
Right.
The NFL, there's a lot of things in the NFL that they need to really get up to speed on,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really surprised that the NFL actually, I think that they're doing the right thing by not siding with Cheeto and by saying, you know what, we're not enforcing the anthem policy this year. They backed that down, and then they also came out and when the Nike ad dropped with Kaepernick, they said, well, we support all the players being able to speak their minds. Now they're hurting in the short run right now because of the viewership is down. But honestly, I think that the NFL is making the right move, looking to go on the right side of history. But what they have to figure out is a way to mitigate what the protests are. The NFL directly isn't killing anybody, unarmed folks. They need to figure out a set of terms with the players that isn't disrespectful, that doesn't slap anybody in the face like they tried to do before with, we'll slide you guys $100 million and you can blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
But you're always going to insult somebody. You can't.
Of course,
you can't make everybody happy.
But what I'm talking about is for it to get back to what it was before with uniformity. Because a lot of what of the non-kneeling players have said is, well, whether you're down with the protest during the anthem or not, do they stop selling beer? Do they stop selling hot dogs? Is everybody there? Right. Do you do it at home? And that This was, in my opinion, this was a very strong, very smart and a very strong statement that if they're going to have some sort of parity about that uniformity, that's a way for them to get out of this situation that they're in, because they're in a pickle right now. Mm-hmm. Well, last notes. Who likes who? Who else did you guys see that you liked out there? What were you going to say?
No, I said I would like to go and see, do these guys have any upsets this week? Crickets?
Talking to you guys. Talking to Cowboy Kev, Trucker Dave.
Hey,
Todd, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
What's your upset this week?
I'll give you an upset. That girl that beat Serena Williams.
Huge upset, but in the world of football.
The world of football. Well, it's a couple of good games this weekend. I would like to see that Jacksonville-New England game. I think Jacksonville's going to upset New England.
You think Fournette comes back, or does T.J. Yeldon do what he did? Because he came out and got busy.
I think Fournette's going to come back, but he's having hamstring problems. I don't know why. That's not the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you
early in the season for that?
Are you just upset about the state of the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm interested to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers this weekend, how they decide to go with that, given they're playing Minnesota and the magnitude of that game and they're being in Lambeau Stadium. What their decision is on that and the magnitude of his injury. That's going to determine a lot. I know they want to keep up in the division, but this could make or break their whole season.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. Because, Minnesota's got some good secondary, so he can't just be spreading the ball around like that against Minnesota.
Yeah, but I mean, we know the need. That's a touchy area in itself, and it's too early in the season to chance that for this one game. Even though it's a big game, but it's too early in the season, which could jeopardize the rest of his not only this season but career.
It's true.
So,
well, you don't know that if you see them just running the ball a lot early in the game. You see him handing off the ball a lot, then the injury's still bothering him. But when he wins the game, then he's the hero. So obviously,
the guy's he's in a win-win situation. Aaron Rodgers can't lose. Him and his $141. Cowboy Kev, Trucker Dave, thank you so much for riding with us in the O-Zone, and glad to have football back so we can have y'all back on. We'll see you soon.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Talk to y'all later on.
Woo-wee. So much to unpack, ladies and gentlemen. And now for our final tribute to a game so fine it's played on diamonds. It's almost time for the hot stove, ladies and gentlemen, meaning October. I'm gonna hit the hot button issue for you, which is they're talking. I gotta.
Don't make me explode.
I got an alert the other day that asked who was the MVP in the AL.
I just saw it.
Mookie Betts, or is it Mike Trout?
Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous.
I can't believe that they didn't even mention J.D. Martinez in the headline.
Right? Or
who could potentially win the Triple Crown, by the way.
Yes, Jose Ramirez. Come on, man. Mike Trout is not in the conversation this year. Get over it.
Can't.
Mike Trout is on a losing squad. Jose Ramirez is on a winning squad. Mookie Betts is on a winning squad. J.D. Martinez is on a winning squad.
Alex
Bregman's on a winning squad. And we're talking about Mike Trout because of his WAR.
Yeah. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Say it again. It is absolutely good for nothing. Get over it. Mike Trout is not in the MVP AL conversation. Who are you going with? I'm going with J.D. Martinez and Mookie Betts.
I like J.D. Martinez. I like Mookie Betts, and I wouldn't be mad at Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman is.
I wouldn't be mad at Jose Ramirez.
I can't be.
I mean, this is a tough decision.
Any of those guys you can't be mad at.
Yeah, I just go with Mookie Betts because Mookie Betts is a 5-tool player. I mean, he plays multiple positions in the outfield. He leads off, and I mean, honestly, if you guys would have gave him enough at bats, Ohtani probably would be.
He would be up there. He would definitely be Rookie of the Year, but he would be up there.
He still has the potential to win the Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's still putting up. He's batting almost 300 now. He's got like close to 20 bombs.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting.
He might be able to get to 2020. I think he's 19 and 13 stolen bases,
something like that.
Yeah,
you just have to start cutting loose if they let him play.
The thing
is, they got to actually let him play.
Yeah, but I would go with definitely. I think I would still stick with Mookie Betts. I went with Mookie in the beginning of the year, and Mookie is still putting up. He banged against the Houston Astros.
Sure did.
And they shut J.D. Martinez down except for that last game.
He acted a donkey in that game, and that's the game they won.
Yeah, and that's the only game that they won. But
they didn't have to face Sale. But last year they faced Sale,
and they ripped him a new one.
Yeah, and they weren't impressed.
Yeah.
When is Charlie Morton coming back?
Charlie Morton's back. He pitched against them all. He pitched against them on Saturday.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the Astros are back. They're back.
Wow. And then
us.
I see it. I see a world champion hat on display. And then what else do we have? We have that last.
We have the Dodgers, the Rockies.
We'll have the Milwaukee Brewers who are putting pressure on these here Cubbies, Jack.
Yeah, that's your squad.
Yeah. I mean, the Dodgers are my squad, but I think that I like the Cubs. The Cubs getting the playoffs is a problem, but I tell you what, if you mess around, you let the Milwaukee Brewers in, they got a couple of those Kansas City Royals who have that magic.
Yeah.
Know how to win ball games. You got Moose over there. You got Lorenzo Cain over there. Uh-huh. It's rubbed off onto Christian Yelich. And then
they have a closer now.
Yeah, and they got a closer and a setup guy that's unhittable.
Yes, so they're a problem. I mean, a solid lineup, and Braun is not the player that he was, but he's definitely enough to carry you over the hump. If you can spot play him, you got Travis Shaw. I mean, they have a nice squad. I really don't prefer the Cubs. I'm really sticking with the Colorado Rockies right now because they're doing well at home and away. And Trevor Story is putting on the
clinic.
Man,
speaking of MVP,
his numbers
the Dodgers don't look like they're going to make it. The
no.
Dodgers can't. This is the problem I have. You can't lose to teams like the Reds and the Mets.
No,
unless Jake DeGrom is on the mound, then that's acceptable.
Yeah, but what Jake DeGrom was not
outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost one game when Jake was on the mound.
Yeah, but I'm talking about last night they lost to the Reds. It's not acceptable.
And they're about to fire it up in a little bit. And I don't know how confident I am. They have some terrible record against the Reds.
Yeah.
6-13 or something silly like that.
And they're playing in Cincinnati.
Those are like the Reds' 6 wins for the season.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad news.
I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they'll be able to get by Arizona, actually.
Do the Phillies make the push and usurp the Atlanta Braves, or does the Braves' young arms hold up?
I think the young arms are going to hold up.
The young arms hold up.
And then
Braves did a valiant comeback the other night against the Diamondbacks.
Right.
And those games hurt the Diamondbacks in their own quest.
Yes, the Braves, and what they've done is bring up all those kids from Gwinnett and slip them in the bullpen, which is a problem. Because now they can bring out these fresh arms, these young kids that people haven't seen. They don't really have a great scouting report on them and throw them out there, and it's a problem for these guys.
It's a problem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a mouthful. This is the O-Zone. I'm your host, Omar Miller. And I really appreciate you guys rocking with us, listening to us, and participating. You can feel free to call into the O-Zone at any time yourself. Leave a message. We'll play it on air at 424-254-ZONE 9663. I want to leave you with an African proverb, which is, he that beats the drum for the madman to dance is no better than the madman himself. Chew on that one. We're all in this thing together, ladies and gentlemen. This is the O-Zone.
O-Zone.